Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Power Within podcast. I'm your host, Laurie. Today, I am so excited and so honored to share with you guys my episode with Chad Michael Murray. Chad is a massive guest for me to get to come on, and I am so thrilled and so thankful to him for making the time to do this. He's an incredibly busy gentleman. He is constantly filming and working on his creative outlets, and then when he's not doing that, he's spending time with his family. So I'm so thankful that we were able to work out a time where he could come on and do this before he started filming Sullivan's Crossing, which is the new television show that he has been cast on. So I'm so incredibly thankful for that. He is incredibly talented. He has a wide variety of acting roles and film and television that he's been on. He has embraced so many different characters and so many versatility of backgrounds of these characters. It's exciting. It's been such a pleasure to grow with him and to get to see all the work that he's done. Not only is he an actor, he is also a writer. He has co-written a novel, American Drifter, with Heather Graham. He wrote his own graphic novel with Everlast. He's shared poetry online that he's done prior. He has written and directed episodes of One Tree Hill. He's an executive producer on many of the projects that he's been a part of. He is an incredibly kind person. He's very genuine and he's very warm and welcoming. It is so great to have him on to share some of the information that he does on here about how he, has picked up things from different people he's worked with, how much he truly loves his job and how grateful and thankful he is for it. He's going to talk about faith and how that's a grounding force for him, his family. He's going to talk about health and fitness, even share some great recipes that his wonderful wife has made for him. So I'm so incredibly thankful for this opportunity, and I really hope that you guys love this. I had such a great time doing this with Chad, so I'm so thankful to him, and I'm so thankful for you all listening. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you guys get a lot out of it. Thank you. Here we go.
It's where we are.
Hi, Chad. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so blessed and honored to have you on today.
Oh my gosh, the blessing's mine. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful.
I have been inspired by you for a very, very long time. I grew up with posters of you on my wall. And then about 14 years ago, you joined social media and I got the chance to talk to you. And I've got to know what an incredible person you are. Now, one of the things that inspires me is that you have done so many different creative outlets. And I want to talk to you about that because you don't just act and write and direct and paint, like you just creatively do all of that. So how has being so creative in all these outlets been beneficial for you?
Oh gosh. When I was a kid, my dad always used to say idle time is a devil's plaything. I'm sure you've heard that before. So when you sit around and you have nothing to do, you end up getting yourself in trouble. I, for one, am someone who I'm a bit of an introvert. I don't really like to go out. I don't like to. I'm not a social butterfly, which most people would be surprised. Like, even my friends are like, "Dude, I would have expected you to be like out and about all the time," but not even close. I had some buddies over my house before we left just to say goodbye. And they were like, "You really don't like going out, dude?" And I'm like, "No, man." So instead, I like to utilize my time to just, kind of creatively grow. And if I see something, I have to do it. It's just one of those things. So whether it's a script idea or a novel idea or a graphic novel or something I just want to draw or paint or stencil or a poem or one of a billion different things or a new voice I want to create, it's just always going. And I'm grateful for that. And I love it. So I just try to fill my time with it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And so your roles that you have taken on are, I love it because you've grown so much. And it's not, you don't just do, like the heartthrob and, fun things. Like you play, an assassin and you played a serial killer, which was really good. A doctor, you've done such a versatility of roles. How do you change from mindset to mindset so quick, because you do film so many different things?
I mean, I've gotten used to it, right? So a lot of people, I don't know. I guess I've just gotten used to it. I love doing it. It's just so much fun for me that it doesn't feel like work at all. And again, something else my dad always said, like everybody says, you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And truly, I love my job. I love getting up and going to work. I get to go to work, and when I show up on site, I say, hey guys, we get to be here. We don't have to be here. We get to be here. And so, for me, I like to do, like what we're shooting right now is very much in the Tree Hill vein. And because of that, I feel like it's going to fulfill the heart and souls of all of you guys and everybody that's come to this party with me for so long. But after this, I'm shooting something very different and very dark, and something I don't think anybody's seen from me before. And that's for me. I'm genuinely doing it because I'm going to get a kick out of it. I'm going to thrive in that environment. Like, I just want to push myself and see what happens. And who knows, might fall flat on my face, or it may be awesome. You never know. But for me, it's just, doing a little bit of everything, because otherwise you get a little bit bored.
And what's been the most challenging role that you have done?
They're all challenging in their own way. There's no one thing that's the most challenging. There's different circumstances and everything. So it could be the environment you're in. You could be in an environment that's really difficult to film. For instance, let's use an example like The Revenant for Leo. It's cold weather. You're in sub-freezing temperatures every day, and it's snowing, and your feet are frozen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for him, I'm sure that was a very difficult environmental, but we don't know, if emotionally or physically or creatively that was the most difficult. That could have been a different role. So for me, we were shooting Sun Records, and creatively, that was probably the most fulfilling job of my career. So much work and just such great cast, and just the most artistic experience. If I could sum it up in like a little box, it was the most artistic experience I've been able to have. And but outside, it was 95 degrees out and 98% humidity, and I'm wearing a 3-piece wool suit. Brutal. But you just go, and you just keep going. We'll see how this is, but the weather's pretty beautiful. But I have a feeling that mosquitoes are going to be our enemy on this one, because we're out in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, which is awesome, and I'm super excited about it. But there's just different obstacles. So everything has its own obstacle. Even in Tree Hill, my biggest obstacle was basketball. I was brutal, so brutal, and you have to get it. You have to get it right. And not growing up having basketball as my first sport by any means, that was difficult. And so, it would take multiple takes and a lot of practice and different things to get there. So it's always different for everything.
And you've worked with some incredible actors. In Texas Rising, you worked with Bill Paxton. You've done multiple films with Bruce Willis. How has working with so many incredible actors and holding your own, because you're just as incredible as all of those people, what have you learned from them, and what have you taken away from those experiences with everyone that you've worked with?
A little bit from everybody. You get to take a little bit from everybody. I remember the first time I worked with Nick Cage, who I grew up such a huge fan of. And I said, yeah, work with Nick Cage, I'm done. I can learn so much. And one of the things that I watched him do is, he always wanted to be first on set under all circumstances, just to set that tone. And so I'm like, I'll borrow that. So, he always wanted his trailer park closest to set. So, and he wanted to have the first knock, so he could just go straight there and be the first on set. Little things like that. I learned stuff from Bruce in just little private conversations. I don't want to give it away because it's a secret. But, he gave me little just little things for the craft and for the work, and just you watch and you study, and it's not always something that someone verbalizes, but you can see. I saw Richard Gere once. We were shooting, I guess it was season 6, and Richard Gere and Diane Lang had a scene, and they were shooting on the next stage over. So I asked if I could, kind of just come and watch. And yeah, come on in. And I saw how, like, pre-scene, they created a scene. And so before anyone ever even called action, they would start their dialogue as if they'd been talking 20 minutes beforehand. And then they just floated ad lib into the scene. And I thought that was really fantastic. And so I've used that a few times. So you borrow little pieces from here and there, and then you just keep studying. You study film, you study theater, you study screenplay, script analysis. What did A and B do here that made this, the execution look so fantastic on screen? So, and by the way, this is like a total huge mess. That's why it's like I'm going totally crazy here. It's awesome.
Looks good. You've always had some good hairstyles.
Thank you. I'll take it.
And you've also gotten to work with quite a few actors on multiple projects. In fact, the Sullivan's Crossing that you're working with right now, you work with Scott Patterson, who was on Gilmore Girls with you. And that's not something that people get to do a lot. So is that something that you aim to want to do, to work with similar people, or is it just that they fall in line and it works out?
They fall in line and it works out. With Bruce, that was more of a deal thing. So, you start and say, hey, I'm going to do A, B, and C, before you ever start. And then you go from there. And then, with this, it just happened to fall that way. That Scott was on board before I was, actually. So, or at least I think he was. At least I had heard wind that he was coming. So, that opportunity. And with Jessica Lowndes and we've worked together a few times on just different Christmas movies, just because we're fun. It's, it's easy, what you're getting. And so every time you walk into an environment with a new actor, you never know the persona you're going to receive. You just don't know. And everybody's different. It's like that in any job, right? You get a new office job and, your neighbor is, I don't know, type A and super anal, and they don't want you making noise or opening your lunch over there because the box creaks. I'm trying to work. Who knows what it may be? I'm making up a scenario, but these people that you can, what to expect when you walk on set. It's comforting, and so it'll be cool. It's cool. I mean, Scott and we did another movie, but we never actually worked together in Other People's Children. We were both in that film. But we never actually crossed paths or saw each other. I didn't even know until I saw it. And I was like, yeah, dude, Scott. So we'll be able to work together next week.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, I want to talk about faith, because I know that you're really big into that, and you have shared bits and pieces online when you were baptized, when you did a live with, I think his name's Miles McPherson.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Miles.
And is that something that you've always kind of felt? I know that you have a tattoo of a cross on there on your wrist.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know that that's something that you've always shared. How has that been beneficial for you just in your whole entire life? And what makes you want to get up every day and do, like, I know you have posted on Twitter, you posted those the little daily things that you do once in a while. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I believe, first and foremost, I'm a God-fearing man. And I think you go through, or at least I know I have, you go through kind of ebbs and flows where you get close to the Lord and then you kind of fall off a little bit, or you get complacent and you don't do the work. But I'm somebody who wants to stay mentally, physically, and spiritually in line, right, and centered. The only way that you can be your best self in every aspect, I think, is to be physically, mentally, and spiritually centered, because this job can be demanding. your hours are all over the place. So you're sleep deprived to a certain degree. You are working long days. You're talking 12 to 16-hour days. And then you get, 10 to 12 hours to get turned around. That includes your drive home. So you get home, 30 minutes. It could be to drive home, 30 minutes back. So there's an hour already. So you got 11 hours at home to check in with your family, check in with the kids, eat some food, shower, try to get 8 hours of sleep, review your work for the next day, and then, get ready, go back to work. So it can be a bit daunting. And so the only way that you can really show up and be ready is to do those three things. And so for me, that's a big thing in my life. Pastor Miles always says, you start every day, put on your spiritual armor. And so that's what I try to do. Is the first thing I wake up, especially, not especially, but every day I wake up and I spend, a good 30 minutes with the word, getting ready, prayer and devotionals and different things. And for me, it puts me at ease. It puts me in a much calmer place. It helps me to prepare to take on different tribulations throughout the day, whatever they may be, or to see somebody else and to get their perspective. Because, a lot of times if you're not thinking from that vantage point, you may see someone who's having a bad day, right? And they're just being snappy, biting, whatever. And your natural inclination would be to cuss them out. But I find that when I spend more time this way, that it's to kind of just have sympathy for them in that moment, to assume that that's them at a lower point, and to not assume that that's just them. I like to believe that people on a whole are good, but the world is such a stressful place, and there's so many distractions and so many obligations today. It makes people short. It makes people look quippy, little say things that maybe they shouldn't say, especially nowadays. I feel like people are they're getting so confident behind social media's force field that they're willing to say whatever they want right to people's faces. Where before social media, people, they might talk behind someone's back, but they weren't as confident to just start saying things to people. You'll hear stuff at the airport or wherever. Gosh, people, don't treat them so poorly. They're working hard. They're doing their best. They're just a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. All that stuff. So I don't know. For me, it's just faith is everything for me. I wouldn't be here without God. I'm a God and family first person, and we put that first for our family. And that's how we function. And if I have to make the choice, I choose God and family every time. Every time. When it comes to work, when it comes to decision making, when it comes to our travels. We've said no to work due to it, just due to whether it's content or having to break the pack apart. We don't break the pack apart. We travel everywhere together. We keep our little traditional pack going. And, hopefully we can keep doing that as the kids get older. I'm sure they're going to be like, I just want to go stay home with my family. Sure that that'll happen. But for now, we're mobile, and we, that's how we function.
That's awesome. Yeah. Your kids have traveled more than I have. I'm jealous.
They travel more than most. It's pretty insane.
Well, you're an incredible dad. You're very hands-on and you're just a great person all around anyway. And you've always been so positive. And you actually just touched on that a little bit about kindness and positivity in social media. And you kind of wrapped up a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about. And on the form of social media, I know that when you initially joined, you used to be very active on social media. And one of the things that I love that I learned from you when using social media is, because it can be negative in a lot of forms. It was seek respect, not attention. It lasts longer. And that's something there. And as we've gotten older, I know you and I are both, climbing a little bit. And now, like, I know
for me personally, like I have to separate myself from social media sometimes because it really will make me feel negative. Is that
Mhm.
something that as you've grown too, you do more? I know you've talked about social media breaks and things like that you've done.
Oh gosh. I very, 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 very much loathe it, to be honest with you. I see the application. I see that there can be benefits. I feel like it's still in its infancy. And I feel like it still needs a lot of bugs to be worked out of it because there's a lot of negativity that can be spewed across social media. And it's just a difficult place. You know, for me, I think you could sit there and scroll through that and watch everybody else's highlight reel, right? And then sit there and beat yourself up because you didn't, I don't know, end up on a sandy beach in the Caribbean today, or you didn't meet, I don't know, President Obama and have your arm around him, or you weren't at this party. And you could do that, or you could just avoid it and live your life and smile about what you do have, right? And those moments. And I try to find myself more, instead of looking at the box, as I like to call it. Everyone puts their life in this little box, and then you don't get to live outside of the box. I make eye contact with my kids, and I'm like, and I'm right there and lock into that moment instead of talking to your kid like, yeah, no, okay, no, yeah. Oh gosh, I love that. Which is, I understand sometimes it's inevitable. Like if you're work emails or something important's going on, right, family, etc. But for the most part, I just want to be present. Social media, I just, and I don't like posting. I don't like posting because I'm like, my gosh, I'm just A, not that interesting, and B, I just don't want to believe that. Like, I'm just not that narcissistic to sit there and go, oh, everyone wants to see another photo of me. I find it so bizarre. I really, really, I always have since the beginning of social media. I waited for forever to get onto Twitter. And I was like, all right, I got to finally do what everyone else is telling me, got to do it. And I joined Twitter. And then I waited and I wait for all these things to occur. And I only get enjoyment out of certain aspects of it. I love, my little training videos with my boy. Those jazz me. And you know what? They don't jazz anybody else, but I don't care. It's not about that. Like, that's my life. And that's what we're doing. We're also we're very private in that we, when we go somewhere, we do something, we never post like, hey, I'm at Disneyland right now. Because that's not very bright. You don't want to post where you are, when you are. You save it for later. And then typically I forget. But yeah, social media is a tough thing, and I think that having to navigate it and deal with it, I think that honestly, they should start teaching in school how to navigate social media and giving kids the tools, because if they're going to live and grow with it, they need the tools to learn anti-bullying, how to block, how to, put yourself forward, knowing that whatever you put on there, just know it's forever, even if you delete it. I think there's a lot of that stuff, and it's a difficult world to navigate.
It really is. And even, I used to just be on like 24/7. And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, no. And now I'm like, oh, okay, people are like, oh, I like your hikes, or, I'm big into like the fresh juices and stuff. So I'll be like posting my juice things and stuff. But now I'm like, no, I'm not going to post when I'm, going on vacation or I'm doing those type of things. Maybe later, if I want to share something. But it is like you get to see everyone's great moments, but that's just not life all the time. And I love when you post
Right.
like the videos of your son doing the football stuff and everything, because it reminds me of my nephew. They're about the same age. So, I'm like, they moved now, but I would be at the soccer games going, yeah, go,
Yeah.
like, so.
That's the real stuff, like I always laugh when you see someone like, on a private plane posting a selfie. I'm like, dude, that's just, no one can identify with that. Like the majority of the world and population can't say, yes, I know what that's, it's like, it just really alienates you from your audience in a lot of way. And I'm just not that. I just don't think like that. That's not my function. I function kind of, and maybe it's not beneficial to me. I'm sure that it hurts me, in a ton of ways. I'm sure that I could have a much larger following if I just sat there and paid attention to it. But what's the trade-off? Less time with my children, less privacy, less time with my wife and family. Like that's not, I don't know. You got to weigh what's important to you. And for me, my family, God, and I love my job. So those things are important to me. And that's kind of where I try to spend my time.
Yeah. One of the things that I love is that you're very good to your following and your supporters. And you always have been. And you guys, especially the One Tree Hill cast, you guys really know your base, and you've gotten to know them over the years, and you do make it a point to try to do events with meet and greets and things like that. And I always thought it was really special. You'll see moments where some of the cast has been a part of engagements and helping when people are struggling, or I know one of them had passed away and you made a post about it, and I thought it was really great because most people don't take the time to get to know their base, and you guys really have. And when you meet you guys in person, it is wonderful. And you do give the warmest hugs. When you say you'll give warm hugs, you do. So what has been the coolest part about that for you in your life?
I guess the bond, there's this, and I mention it if I do a cameo, it's something that I like to mention. It's just that there is truly a bond, a unspoken universal bond between myself and every single one of you guys. Anyone who's been there with me on my career, we share a common bond, which is the love for the story that we were all part of. And it's funny because a lot of people want to separate it and say, no, you're the one that's on screen and I'm the one watching. It's not like that. No, it's a common story that we've all been a part of. Everyone watched 9 seasons of One Tree Hill, and they were a part of that show just as much as I was. They know the story, they know the journey, they've seen it behind the scenes. So it's very much where we just have that common bond, that commonality, and they followed me throughout the course of everything that's occurred and transpired since then. And so for me, I'm just when I see somebody and I see them smiling, or I see them waiting outside, like for instance, we had the upfronts this past weekend in Toronto, and we had to get rushed in because we were going to go up on stage and do a present and the show, and so they had to rush us in. But there were fans outside, and when they sit there and they wait and they wait and they wait, in my heart of hearts, unless it's a dangerous scenario where there's just too many people to the point where it's going to get a little reckless and people will push and stuff, I'll wait. I'm here. I'm here for them, just like they're there for me. And, in this scenario, they didn't want me interacting with the people because of COVID. They were really concerned because if one of us catches COVID and then we, end up on set, we shut down production. Like, that's just how it goes. So they wanted me to keep my distance. And I said, well, what if we just do this? What if I'll stand 6 feet behind everybody, keep everybody forward. I'll just take photos with everybody. Like, I don't mind. I don't want to rush, get in the van and leave everybody high and dry. Like, that's not fulfilling. And, it wasn't like it was thousands and thousands of people, it was a couple hundred people. So we can do it. I'll take my time. They waited. I can give them my time. So I don't know. There's just a mutual love and bond and respect for what we're going through. We're all human, we're all human. We're all on this adventure together. So I don't know. I enjoy it. I dig it. And there's only like a couple times where I'm like, not right now. And that's typically, Disneyland's a hard one. If you go to Disneyland and someone catches you, because if one person catches you, it can end up like, it could take up an hour of your time with other people seeing it. So I'll typically be like, okay, we got to do something to move. Like we got to, or, if I have food like in my mouth, that's a tough one. But outside of that, like, I'm blessed to do my job, and I'm blessed to have these relationships. And when I joined this industry, I wanted to bring smiles to people's faces. And that little interaction, how big or small it may be, can bring joy to someone. And why would I not want to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've always been good. When you were just talking about the food, you had shared a story. One of your friends was picking on you when you guys went out to eat, and they were like, "This is what happens when Chad goes out," and there was people waiting. And I'm like, he is so sweet. That's just how you've always been. I remember when we were in North Carolina, and I was outside with patients, and you hollered down the road, well, yelling at me to stop smoking. And you came right over, and you've always just been that warm person, and people, and you're like, hey, so I think it's really great that you do that.
Thank you.
And speaking of health things, where I just talked about smoking, which I quit too. And I know that you did as well.
Oh yeah.
And I know that you're very into health and fitness things, and I've seen like Sarah post, she makes some great like carrot soups and things like that. I love when she shares recipes, and you've posted green juices and things like that. So, how much has like your diet and things changed? I know you used to be a big sugar addict, and you said that you are reformed from that now. So,
quit sugar. Well, I mean, there's a few reasons. One, as you get older, guess what? Your metabolism jumps off the cliff. So, that whole, what is it, a second on the lips, forever on the hips kind of thing, that really matters. I'm kidding. No, I have kids. And when you have children, it's weird. Your peripherals, they open right up, and you see the world in a very different light. And no longer are you this very, and I'm not saying everybody is, but I'm saying that I may have been more self-centered or selfish about things. And then, before you have kids, it's all really about you and what your journey is, right? And then you have kids, and all of a sudden you learn true selflessness in that moment, or at least for me, that's what it was. And you see, you hear a story, or you read a story about how, the coloring in a lot of candies is poison. It's toxic. The red 40, blue 5, yellow 1, all this stuff that we're ingesting causes cancer. Been doing it my whole life, just sitting there eating colored candies before bed. It's terrible for you. Awful. It's and we do it without questioning. And so, it was hard to kick. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to kick, but I found those Smart Sweets, Smart Sweets.
Mm-hmm.
And Smart Sweets are the jam. It's much less sugar. I actually think I have some right here. So it's like 130 calories for a whole bag, and you got 3 grams of sugar, and the coloring is all from, like apple, cherry, pumpkin, beets. It's like it's completely different, and it's non-toxic. And it's a lot less calories, and it still knocks me out. So a little handful of that still puts me out. But yeah, diet-wise, I've changed a ton, just because I want to just take care of the physical part, right? That physical centering. I know that I feel better and am better when I eat right. My wife is a big contributor to that. She's fantastic with foods, and she was the beginning of that journey for me. Even when we first met, she was like, "Okay, we got to get you off the 7 packets of sugar in your cup. That's enough." I haven't had sugar in my coffee in years. I couldn't imagine doing that now. It's just coffee as is. But we pretty clean around here.
Awesome. And I wanted to ask you, for fitness stuff. Well, before I get into that, I know that you did have a surgery because you had tore the labrum on your hip, and then also during the Home of the Brave, you tore your meniscus. So because you are so active and taking care of yourself and exercising, when you have an injury like that, how do you still keep yourself active and in shape and moving while trying to recover?
It's brutal. I'm not gonna lie. It's awful. It's mentally draining. It's physically draining. It causes depression, all those things, and the reason I even bother to mention that is because I know a lot of people can identify with that. It's something that we all go through. Injuries happen, and when they happen, it really sets you back. I couldn't train for like 4 or 5 months after my surgery, and I had my surgery last November. So wanting to get back in shape to go back to work right now has been a hell of an undertaking. It's been a journey of, eating like a monk and eating as clean as humanly possible, and giving up pretty much anything that I shouldn't be having, because you kind of have to go big or go home. And it's trying to train 5 times a week. And if you can get 6, great. And if you can't, and your body starts breaking down a little bit, and the hips sore one day, then I can't work out. But it'll depress you. It'll put you in depression because you can't get the dopamine pumping in your brain once you get the exercise. And for me, it's just a way of life. I played sports my whole life. I've always been active. I've always been someone who likes being active. And so for that, it's just the way that I function. For me, I need it. I Jones for it. And I know it's funny because like the first day you get back, you're like, oh gosh, that's awful. And then I go on day 2 and I get that high. I'm like, oh gosh, I miss this. This feels so good. And for hours after I'm done at the gym, I feel so good, and I'm just jacked up and excited. I have more energy. My head's clear. It helps with memory. It helps with so many different things. Like a little trick for other fellow thespians is that you work out, and for the 2 hours after you work out, your memory, your short-term memory, is so much stronger. And it's funny because I tried it, and I would go and I'd look at a script right after I get out of the gym, have some food, look at the script, and boom, you just got it. It's just snaps right in your brain. So, yeah, I just, it's tough overcoming the adversity. And I don't sit there and go on to social media. And I thought about it. I thought about going on social media and talking about the journey from, having my hip done to not being able to train. But again, I spend that time instead with my kids, and they drew pictures of daddy on crutches. And
well, I know so many people are into like wanting to get in better shape and take care of themselves better. So I want to ask you a few questions. And you have shared some great videos, like your stair exercises, and I'm like, whew, I'm like sweating over here thinking about doing those. And then I'm like, oh, I want to try that, so it does inspire other people to get physical and to try and do those things.
That one I shouldn't have done. That was too early for me. And I set myself back like a week. My hip got so pissed, but it's all good. I'm fine.
So when you work out, what are your favorite pre and post workout drinks and meals?
Goodness. I mean, I eat the same thing every day. So it is what it is. I get up every morning and have fat-free yogurt with granola. A good, healthy, gluten-free granola, and not filled with sugar. And, like that kind, they have a kind one. It's like peanut butter. It's got 10 grams of protein. I like that. I just do that in yogurt and coffee. And then, I just go take all my vitamins and hit the gym. Pro Mix makes this really good, if you need it, a pre-workout drink. I'm not a 2 scoop, get jacked up kind of guy, but like if I need like a half a scoop of this pre-workout from Pro Mix, I'll do it. Because it doesn't get me jittery. It doesn't give me an upset stomach. It doesn't cause any side effects where you taste it in your mouth all day. It's the cleanest one that I could find. So I'll do that. And then I get done. And if I have ample time, which I have lately, I go in and I crack open 6 eggs, and I only take 1 of those yolks. Everything else is egg white. So 5 egg whites, 1 full egg. So 6 total eggs in a pan with a little bit of garlic, olive oil, salt and pepper. Boom. Throw that down, start feeding the muscle, getting back at it. Cut carbs quite a bit, still get them, but cut them quite a bit. And then just try to get enough protein. I mean, I'm probably eating like 150 to 200 a day, just so I can rebuild what I'm hurting in the gym. And then again, Pro Mix makes another shake that I really like. The only one that doesn't really like it. It's just clean, simple, so good. And I consume that whenever I need it with some almond milk. Good to go. But I mean, there's so many things, those little kind bars, I keep them for snacks, handful of almonds. I always have in a car for emergencies, because if you don't eat and you're training real hard, you get hangry. So you gotta feed the beast. Stay away from alcohol, because alcohol will just destroy you. And one of the biggest motivations is One, when you're doing it, tell yourself, just see what happens. See if I can do one more. Just 10 more minutes. Just see what happens. And that'll mentally like push you. Nothing's going to happen. Right. And the second thing is like food. You go, like, it's 2 weeks. Right? I can't go without sugar for 2 weeks. Like, come on. If you really are struggling with that sweet tooth, try Chromium. Really helps for me. To beat that sweet tooth, take it like a couple hours before bed, and then you won't really crave that sugar. And I never eat sugar at all under any circumstance during the day. Simple carbs will just make you chase that dragon all day. So stay away from simple carbs during the day, because you'll have, like, even if you have pasta at lunch, you can be hungry 2 hours. So stay away from simple carbs and stuff like that. Just keep it simple. Like, if God didn't make it, I try to eat it as is. Grilled chicken, salads a lot of times without dressing. Like, I go big or go home, and then, say 2 weeks. And then you go 2 weeks and you're like, okay, cool, have a cheat day. And you enjoy something. But then you're like, you feel what it really feels like to eat those foods. And then you either choose to go, I don't want to do that again. Or, you go 2 more weeks now. And it's just a new way of life. It's really you have to adjust your lifestyle.
Yeah, I do. Like, I now incorporate every single day. Like, I do all fresh juices. I don't even buy store-bought juices anymore. I make all my own. And I know you've done some of the greens. So I wanted to ask you, what do you put in your green juice or smoothies?
Well, I will tell you, I don't juice first and foremost. Not anymore. I don't do juices for a multitude of reasons. Smoothie. Because when you're juicing, you're leaving a lot of your vitamins and the things that you need for your body. You're just leaving them on the table, right? It's spitting out all that pulp and fiber and all that stuff. So you can lose a lot of the nutrients in what you're eating. So we smoothie it around here. Throw in a Vitamix, blend it up, go to town. And there's so many ways to make it taste fantastic. See, my wife makes one recently that is just, it's not okay. It's too tasty. If I had too many of them, I'd be in trouble. But it's a banana with cacao, almond milk, teaspoon of honey, a tablespoon of honey, or teaspoon of honey, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, almond milk. It's like 5 or 6 different ingredients, something in there. Oh, and then spinach, a ton of spinach. And it blends up. It's so tasty what you get in your spinach. Oh, MCT oil. She puts all that stuff in there, and you're getting all these nutrients. Oh, chia seeds. She puts them in there. And then we do green smoothies at the house. And the kids love them. I mean, they live on green smoothies. They love it. But we blend it. We blend it all up, so we're getting all the nutritional value. Basically, it's pre-chewed food. Less work for you.
I love that. And it's so important to, like, get the kids incorporated with that early. I do that with my nephew and my niece. They'll come over and I'm like, okay, you need to have this. Like, let's do this instead of going out for fast food or things like that. So I love that you do that too. And what are some of your favorite workouts?
I mean, it just depends. It genuinely depends. I love pushing myself to the brink of collapse. So, I was doing like shoulder ropes the other day. You're doing those big ropes, and I was teaching my son and how to do it. And so, I'll do a minute and then 30 seconds off, and then another minute and then 30 seconds off. So like little as fast as you can, and then big as fast as you can, and then slamming the rope down for a minute, and then one arm out holding it while you're doing back and forth, and then for 30 seconds, and then 30 seconds the other one. It's brutal, and it burns you out so much, but I know the value you're getting for it. You're basically putting yourself into HIIT, and you're going to burn calories for the next 19 hours or so. That's what really gets you to burn that fat that you just can't get rid of. So I love those type of workouts. And when I'm in the gym, especially when I'm filming, I never take more than 15 seconds in between reps. So I just move around quick. But yeah, I mean, I love running. Running's my favorite thing, but I can't do it yet. So I'm still not on a run for probably till like November. It sucks.
You used to run like 5 miles a day.
Oh yeah. You? I would run minimum 4 times a week, between 3 to 10 miles on it every day. And I loved it, but the hip really put me back. So that's why I'm moving around so much, is because it hurts to even sit still to this day. It's a long recovery. It's like a 6 month to a year recovery. So it is what it is. But I can do like elliptical, and I can do interval ellipticals now. 1 minute, like 10-minute warm up, and then a minute sprint, a minute rest, where you're still moving, but you're going slower, and then increase the resistance as you go. And you do like 15 reps, and that'll catch up pretty good.
Well, you are in incredible shape, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm like, I got a lot of work to do.
Now, what are you talking about? You look great.
And I wanted to ask you real quick on like, because I know when you did Other People's Children, where you played a heroin addict, that one, you had talked about how you had to lose weight. Is that hard if you have a role that you have to get to a certain like weight or be a certain frame and then have to rebuild that up? Like, is the process long for you when you have to do that, both like to get to that point and then afterwards to build back up?
I mean, it just depends. Even in Other People's Children, I wish I would have just gone to Cracker and Waters for a little bit of time. But at the end of the day, I'm fine with the choices, because sadly people didn't see it. But it is what it is.
It was a great movie.
Thank you. And I wish we could have hit in a bigger way, but needless to say, you never know what you're going to get when you're on set. Sometimes you hit lightning in a bottle, sometimes you don't. But for me, it's different. Like, it's been difficult to come back from 4 or 5 months off. Your endurance is gone, your strength is gone, your metabolism is down to the bottom of the barrel. So you have to speed everything up. And it's everything. It's, you got to have the mental aspirations and willpower to go. You got to push yourself, and you got to eat right. 6 small meals a day is the biggest way to do it. I'm not an intermittent fasting person. I understand it, but I don't wholeheartedly believe in it. I think it's a current fad, just like Atkins was. It is what it is. Do I think people used to survive that way? Yeah, of course they did. And, people also used to survive without carbs and all sorts of things. But today, in today's society, that's not how we live, right? And we're also getting bigger and bigger, becoming bigger humans, right? So I think we do require more calories. Only thing I'll say is never try to not eat carbs first. Always have protein first. So let's say you want to have a banana on an empty stomach. Yeah, don't do that. Throw like a handful of almonds in your mouth, then eat the banana, just to slow down the absorption of the banana so you won't spike your insulin, thus causing yourself to gain unwanted fat.
Good advice there.
Little hacks.
Well, I appreciate you coming on so much. And if people want to find you, where would be the best place for them to do that?
What do you mean, like social media?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. You probably know my name better than I do on there. I think I'm Chad Michael Murray on Instagram.
Okay.
Right?
I'll put it in show notes. I'll put it in the show notes there.
Thank you. I that's how little time I spend on there. I know I'm Chad M. Murray on one and Chad Michael Murray on the other. And I wasn't even Chad Michael Murray for a long time. Represent, they were like, dude, you should be on your own name. So they got me my name back. Someone else had my name. Anyway, I digress. It is what it is. I'm not that social savvy guy. I'm a dad. Not supposed to be. I'm that guy now that's like, like when I was young and, my dad couldn't hit play on the VCR. My dad, it's the triangle button. It's the triangle. It's play for the VCR. I'm that guy now. So
that's awesome. That is great. Well, thank you so much,
so
Chad.
Good to talk to you, Laurie. Genuinely, so good to talk to you. It is
great to talk to you too, and I'm so thankful for you coming on. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure is mine, and I can't leave without saying, "Go Bills."
You're the only person I'll let talk trash about my Patriots.
I didn't talk trash. I just
not this time. Yeah, not this time. But
sorry, Brady's a Buck, so I don't have to talk trash for now.
I know. I was actually waiting for you to come on with a a Bills hat on or something like that, because I'm like, oh, he gonna try and do that.
I would have. I should have. I didn't. It's all good. But God bless you guys. Thank you for having me on, and I will see you soon.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you really enjoyed that. I love doing this interview. I loved getting to sit down and chat with Chad for a while and just catch up and hear about all the exciting things going on for him. I'm so excited for his new role in Sullivan's Crossing. I think it's going to be a great show. It's from the same creators who did, or the same woman who wrote the books for Virgin River. So I know that was wonderful. So I'm just starting the books and I'm liking them so far. So I'm so excited for him and I'm so pumped. I know he's such a busy guy, so it was hard trying to coordinate this, and I'm so glad that he made time for me before he started filming to do this. It meant a lot for me to have him on the show. He has inspired me a lot over the years, and you know, he always says enjoy the journey, and he truly is someone who's inspired me to enjoy the journey, and he lives that himself. And there was so many good little nuggets in there of information. I loved hearing him talk about, you know, the different actors that he's gotten to work with and things that he's taken away from them. It's kind of great to hear other people's creative process and little things that they get from other people and that they're able to incorporate in their own work. And, you know, he's someone who has worked with some really great people, but he holds his own. He's wonderful, and his versatility of roles has been something that always just astounds me. Every time I watch anything that he is in, I'm never bored. He's just really great, and what an honor it was to have him on. And I hope that you guys got some inspiration from him as well, because he's just really inspired me for a long time, and it was so important for me to get to have him on the show. And like I said, I'm so grateful for him for making the time. You guys know that I do have a podcast playlist that I ask all my guests to contribute songs to. So I will include Chad's playlist items in the links below, and I also have the playlist, and there's such a great versatility of every single one of my guests putting in songs. So there's music for every mood for you in there. And I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I hope that you like it, and it's giving you some inspiration in things that you're doing. Music is so powerful, so I'm really glad to have that, and even myself, I listen to it quite a bit. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And I do appreciate everyone who's left reviews and who's ranked it on Spotify, and who has sent me messages, and I've put it on YouTube now, so you know, people even leave comments, and it's really great for me to get to see people's feedback and have conversations with people, whether it's through DMs or you know, open conversations on social media. And I really am so grateful to everyone who listens in and who, you know, takes the time to listen to my show to get something out of it. You know, I started this out because I wanted to inspire people with the people who have inspired me. And you guys, you know, everyone who's reached out, I've heard so many inspiring things, and it's so wonderful, and it's so fulfilling to me to be able to do this and to share, you know, some incredible human beings and guests, and you know, just hear the best things from so many different people. And I really truly try to create a show that's different from, you know, what everyone else does. You know, for me, I try to ask different questions, and I spend a lot of time going through, you know, countless, you know, other episodes and things like that people have done or been on, or, you know, anything, and digging in, because I want to make it something unique. I want to make it something that people can listen and get something new from. So that's really important to me. So the time that I take to do the research and to do these interviews, you know, it is a lot of time for me. And so I'm so grateful for the feedback, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys listening. And I just want to say, I hope that you guys are having a great time wherever you are in life, wherever you are in the world. You know, I hope that you have so much love and light and inspiration in your life, and, you know, that you're getting out there, go out and go for a walk, enjoy life, and, you know, really, I'm going to use something Chad always said to me: aspire to inspire. And I hope that you all do that. I hope, you know, that my goal of doing that has worked, and I wish you all the greatest things, and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.